Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are well today and I hope you are taking good care of your health. If you are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Regina Mmadu. In this channel, I'll be talking about health, mostly diseases. It's a form of creating awareness to diseases, because if you are aware of some certain diseases, you can prevent them to some extent. Yes, it's just like when someone is walking on a path. If you observe that there is pit hole ahead, you'll be able to avoid them or even turn back. But it will be very difficult for you to fall into the pit hole you've seen ahead. And also you might say, oh, I have doctor or nurses or the pharmacists out there to help me, so why should I know about diseases? Yes, they are always there to help you. But take for example, if they ask you to help someone who cannot walk and someone who can walk but staggered, between these two, who would you find easy to help? Obviously, it's the person who can walk but staggered. So if you know about diseases, it will also help the doctors to help you. So for that reason, I advise you join this family by clicking the subscription button, as I'll be covering different diseases and their prevention. So today I'm going to talk about asthma. Asthma has become so prevalent these days. More than 300 million people are suffering from asthma worldwide, both children and adults. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory airway disease. It is a condition in which the airway is narrowed. We all know how important our respiratory system is. Without one getting oxygen, then that is dead. Even if every other part of the body is working, without oxygen, they will stop working automatically. We require oxygen to survive. And our lungs is the center of our breathing. Basically, when we breathe, the air passes through our nose into the trachea, and then to the bronchi and bronchioles, and then to the alveoli. So in asthma, this airway, mostly bronchi, is narrow. Bronchi and bronchioles, they narrow, so that breathing will become difficult. Like the passage of air through this bronchi will be very difficult. It is characterized by exacerbation. That is in a period where the symptoms will be very severe. And this is usually due to trigger. People have different trigger. And once people who are suffering from asthma encounter this trigger, then it results in this exacerbation. The severity of the symptoms is not constantly, it occurs episodically. Basically, our lungs, the airway, contracts and relaxes. When we need more oxygen in our body, it dilates so that enough oxygen will go in. When we encounter pollution or other irritants, our lungs, the bronchi will constrict a little bit so that those irritants will not enter into the lungs. It's part of protecting the lungs from being infected by those irritants or pollution. So that is the normal process. But in asthma, this airway is constantly narrow. I have a sketch of lungs here. I'm not a good artist, but I tried. So I'll use this to explain what I mean. I don't know if it's visible. I know, mere looking at it, it's just like a tree and its roots. But no, this is a sketch of the lungs. So this is the trachea, and this is the bronchi. These tiny ones that passes to the alveoli is the bronchioles. So when the air passes from here then to here and it reaches the alveoli, where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide take place in our lungs. So what happened in asthma is that this airway, this bronchi, not this one, this bronchi through which air will pass and distribute to different alveoli, to these alveoli will become narrow, so that passage of air
will be difficult. So if you take the section of this bronchi, it will come like this ones. So this is normal airway. It has smooth muscle in it and the opening is very okay. In asthma, the airway becomes this. It becomes this narrow because of inflammation. I will explain it once I'm done with this. Because of inflammation, this airway will become narrow. So during the asthmatic attack, that is when the lungs will be responding to trigger, it will contract more and more and tighten the airway. If you look at this muscle, it's not smooth as this one. And during the attack, it will constrict more. The lungs, the bronchi will constrict more and narrow. The muscle is even rough. So, what happened in asthma is constant inflammation of this bronchi. So we do say that someone is hot-tempered, that over almost everything you do to them, they become angry. And some people, it's not just natural, but when they have experienced whole lots of bad omen or bad times, they have bad time, they are really aggressive. So literally, I would say that the bronchi is just like someone who is hot-tempered. They react to over almost everything. Every tiny thing, they will react to it. So our environment is filled with microbes and other irritants, which we encounter every day, especially now that our weather or our environment has become more polluted. So we encounter them every day by day. So in asthma, these bronchi become hyper-reactive, and that results in inflammation. Inflammation is defense mechanism in the body normally, but when it becomes excess, it becomes a problem. So it is immune reaction to external stimuli or any foreign matter. It is a way through which the body fights off microbes and other foreign matter once they enter into the body. But in asthma, this response becomes too much, because during inflammation, different immune components are triggered, and then they gather to the site of inflammation and they release inflammatory mediator. There will be dilation of blood vessel and all that, and the gathering of blood. And in inflammation, there is swelling, there is redness, there is pain. You know, if you are stung by an insect, you will see that the place, or maybe you are bitten by an ant, you see that the place is swollen and red. So that is typical example of inflammation. So when they say asthma is an inflammatory condition, yes, that inflammation is there constantly. So because of this overreaction of the bronchi to external stimuli, the inflammation will be there constantly, and that will narrow the airway. So when the bronchi become hot-tempered, that is what results in this narrowing of airway. I say that inflammation is body defense mechanism, but in asthma, due to this overreaction and constant inflammation, you will realize that the amount of damage caused by this reaction is more than even what is being fought for. For example, maybe you engage in some issue or just little misunderstanding with someone, and then you reacted to some certain way. Later you will realize that, oh, I think I overreacted. This is really a very minor issue, but because I overreacted, it has resulted to this. We do learn when we find ourselves in this kind of mistake, but our body doesn't. So they overreact, and this overreaction causes more damage than good. When this airway is narrowed, initially it is reversible, but to some extent it becomes irreversible. And once they encounter any trigger, the constriction become more. It's just like when someone has been overstressed, they easily overreact. So because this bronchi is in constant inflammation, is constantly swollen, is there, so it can even increase the over-responsiveness more and more and more. And this narrowing is what results in asthma symptoms, which are wheezing. So what happens in wheezing is, because this airway has been narrow, during breathing in and out, the entering of oxygen or air into this tiny space that looks like star will cause it to vibrate, and that results in wheezing. And that is when someone will be breathing like not really like this, but something like that, or it will sound like someone is snoring. I don't know if you've ever slept with someone who is snoring, you know how disturbing it can be. So it will sound like that even when they are not sleeping. And also cough, and cough occur because of the inflammation that is constantly present in the bronchi. For example, just take it like if you put okra, like lady's finger, in water and leave it there for a long time, you see that maybe for one day, if you see that the okra is swollen, and because it's swollen, if you bring it out, it will release the mucilage, the stretchy stuff easily. It will just be coming out of it. Our airway make mucus, yes, and they use it to clear up the lungs. Whenever there is any foreign matter, they just trap those foreign matter and remove it from the body. But in asthma, because of this inflammation, the bronchi make more mucus, and it will be more excess that it will even add to the blockage of the airway. It will not do its function as supposed. Instead, it will be excess and block the airway, and that results in cough. The cough is not just like dry cough, wet cough. Each time the person cough, they will bring out mucus. And the next, difficulty breathing, which usually occur as exacerbation than during the episodic attack of asthma, where the person will be struggling with life. It is like battle of life and death. If you really want to understand what these people pass through during the attack, try to reduce your nostril. Just leave a tiny space and then close your mouth. Don't open your mouth to breathe. And then try to breathe with that little space you are leaving in your nostril for like 1 to 2 minutes. You realize that you become tired. So in asthma, because it's not even their nose, the nose is open, there's nothing wrong with the nose, but the passage of air through this bronchi to other part is a problem. So they struggle with breathing. During that attack, they can barely talk. The next symptoms is weakness or tiredness, because if you don't have enough oxygen in your body, you cannot perform actively. That is why during any strenuous activity, we do breathe fast, because during that time, oxygen is demanded more and more. So we breathe in fast. If you don't get that much oxygen, you feel weak, or even after the end of the exercise or whatever you are doing, while you are breathing, you easily feel weak, because despite that you are breathing fast, still you don't have that much oxygen because the demand exceeds the supply. So in asthma, because these people doesn't have enough oxygen because of the narrowing of this airway, they always feel weak, and in some cases it will interfere with their daily activities. What are the causes of asthma? The two major risk factors, or let me say causes of asthma, is genetic and the environment. Like allergies, some people are allergic to some certain things. It can be pollen, animal fur. All these are cause of asthma, or pollution like smoke, chemicals. It may be smoke from cigarettes or car. And this type of asthma starts from childhood. That is extrinsic asthma. And these people also suffer from other allergic disease like psoriasis, asthma, rhinitis. And the other one, which is intrinsic asthma, the type that is as a result of family history. These people doesn't have increased immunoglobulin E in their blood, and it usually starts due to upper respiratory infection caused by virus or chronic bronchitis. Then from there it will lead to asthma. And these people also have hypersensitivity towards some certain drugs like aspirin. Emotional stress, physical exercise can also cause asthma, because during exercise oxygen is needed, and if the body cannot meet up with that, it can trigger or cause the bronchi to constrict or overreact. So study shows that people with asthma have increased hepatitis cell and also increased neutrophil in their blood. These are immune components. Okay, so because this is much in the blood, they can easily trigger or start immune reaction like inflammation. So this hepatitis cell and the neutrophil is like the starting point. Once they observe any foreign matter, then they will start the process of inflammation by activating other immune components. These two immune components are considered to be the main problem in asthma. Those whose asthma is due to hepatitis cell, it seems to be better, like their asthma will barely result in status asthmaticus, and also it can easily be controllable. But those whose asthma is due to neutrophil, the asthma can easily become severe and result in status asthmaticus. So based on the severity or the symptoms, there are 4 types, which is 1 mild. In this, the attack or the exacerbation will occur just once in a while. Next is moderate. These people have less episodic attack, that is less exacerbation, maybe 3 times in a month or once in a week. And then severe asthma, where the attack will be very constant, maybe almost every day. And then status asthmaticus. This type of asthma is in this type of asthma, the episodic attack occur constantly, like almost every 30 to 20 minutes. And also sometimes this does not respond to the inhaler, the rescue inhaler. In this case, the person needs emergency attention. The person has to be hospitalized. So this comes to the end of this video. I'll be discussing about the treatment and other precautions in another video because I don't want this video to be too lengthy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and do take care of yourself. Bye bye.